Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions.
That I got this job. And I remember just sitting there going, what's the fucking difference? Right? Now I have a kid, and now I'm going to sell all of my time now. And I'm going to go back to what I was not happy at before. It was just me and my wife, and now I have a kid. Like, I can't do that. To me, that's not being a father. That's not being responsible. I don't think making dollars is a responsibility of a father. I think facilitating a household and a loving family is what being a father truly is. And for me, that was about creating some space and some time. So that was it. That was the moment the fire got lit under my butt. The next day, I did all my cold outreach to find more clients. I applied to every single digital marketing agency that I could that day because I was determined to at least even get a job in the industry so I could at least learn it.
Right.
The next day, I got a call back from who's now my partner, who hired me that day. So I had my one client. I was working for an agency. I obviously worked my way up, became partners with the owner of that. But yeah, that's what I had to do. I had to have a real, my kick in the butt moment didn't come till after I quit. But it had to come before I really started moving.
Isn't that amazing how having a child just crystallizes things? I mean, all of a sudden we had our first baby and it completely rocked my world. Like they handed him to me. We got induced too. And and he came by C-section. They handed him to me in the operating room and he was super chill, right? He's just like my wife. He's just super chill. And like not crying, nothing. He just looked at me like, what's next? Hi, Dad, what's next? Right? And I got this chill, man, from head to toe, because I realized that I was massively violating a promise I had made to myself when I was a kid. And that was that my dad's business, his body shop, ran him. Okay. I made a promise to myself that I would run my business, not the other way around. Okay. And I literally spent the next 3 days, because we had to be in the hospital for 3 days with a C-section, right? My wife did. I spent the next 3 days, Drew, just working out, okay, if I move home, if I don't go to the office every day, I carve out 3 hours, okay? If I use a courier service, I carve out another 2 per day. And I literally, before we left that hospital, I had carved out 8 extra hours a day, man.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden I was still working, 70 hours a week, but all of a sudden I now was making way more dollars per hour. And I had the flexibility of taking that brand new baby boy and taking him out in a stroller to go look at the birds in the middle of the day, right? That I didn't have before. Having a baby I don't even know how to explain it, man. It's hard to put into words, and it just how they affect you. How becoming a dad affects you.
It contextualizes life as far as I'm concerned. People talk a lot about finding your purpose, and I mentioned this earlier too, and finding that one thing that you love. But what people miss is that, like, when people are talking about that, I don't mean you need to go, maybe it's an auto body job, and like my father doesn't wake up dying to get into the paint shop. Right. I don't wake up dying to look at ad accounts. I very much enjoy it. But like a great chef doesn't wake up every morning dying to go cook food. Right. Your purpose doesn't have to be the physical thing that you're doing with your life.
Right.
The thing that you're doing with your life just needs to support your purpose. Right. And for me, my purpose was my kid. And I think for most of us that is actually true. I think a lot of us don't kind of deny it or are trying to think that they should have a better purpose. Like I heard somebody having a purpose to stop all child trafficking. That's the kind of purpose I need to have. No, that's a great purpose. But you could just have the purpose to be a good dad.
Right.
And maybe that means that you're working a job that's low enough stress that you're not taking your shit home with you,
Right.
but paying you enough and giving you enough time freedom that you get to show up to be the person that you want to be. Then that's it. Then I found my purpose, and I found the perfect job for my purpose. It doesn't mean that I'm on cloud 9 every moment that I'm at work.
Yeah. And you don't have to be happy all the time, right? You don't have to, like you said, you don't have to be in a place where you can't wait to get to work, right? But you wake up grateful, okay?
Yep.
And then you kiss and hug those babies, right? And now your purpose is reinforced, okay? And it's a big, I am a huge proponent of parenting, of being a father. I'm passionate about being a dad. My kids are now 23 and 24, right? So we're on the other end of it, you know? But one of the things that I took the greatest pride in was raising those children, you know, and being an active in their lives, and being an active dad, and being somebody who was, you know, yeah, I was one of their biggest cheerleaders, but I wasn't their friend either, right? I was their dad, right? And I told them, I said, look, you may not like me right now, you may not like what I'm doing or the decisions I'm making, but God made it this way. I'm preparing you to go out into that big, beautiful world, and I will not have you be a burden. You will go out into that big, beautiful world, and you'll add to it, right? You'll be a leader. That's awesome, man. I'm so excited to hear you say that, because we need more dads like you in this world. We really do.
Well, yeah, and that's even a whole other thing, right? Like, the world doesn't need another sermon. The world needs more examples.
Right.
And that's what people should be rising to, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's in business or at home or whatever it is, but we all need to have the obligation to be better, right? To show up,
right.
to be there. And I think a lot of people spend too much time concerned that they're in the wrong job, or I haven't found my purpose, or I'm not happy with my relationship. Well, it's like, well, guess what? All of those things you have control over. Right. Literally every single part of that you have control over. And until you take accountability for every area in your life, you're not allowing yourself the power to change it.
I totally agree. They call it practicing the gospel, preaching the gospel without talking.
Interesting. Right? Oh, I like that.
You're doing it through your actions, bud. You're showing people this is the way you need to be a dad. This is the way you need to be a leader. This is the way you need to run a household, that kind of thing. You with me? And that's super, super important. I'm so excited that you're the dad that you are, man. We need more, we need more guys like you, dude. So all right. So you start the company, you go to work for the advertising agent or the marketing company and digital marketing, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you become a partner. How does that evolve? So you go to work for them, you've got the one client, you go to work for them, and you grow the company, obviously, and do well. And then at some point you have a conversation with your now partner about becoming a partner. How did that evolve? Walk us through that.
Sure. So really what happened there is how Leadzolo got introduced.
Right.
So we're working in this ad agency, I'm working there with the owner. It's an ad agency. So we're running YouTube ads for webinar funnels, and a lot of big names. Like, that's, you know, where we got the opportunity to work with Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and all of that through this agency. Now, as this was going on, this is when I got introduced to this whole wholesaling world and real estate investors. And I had no idea what you guys were. I thought you were all realtors. No idea. So I'm talking to Kyle, who's my now partner, who's the owner of Adleg. I believe at the time I was a director of operations. And so anyways, we have a friend who's in the industry and he's explaining it to us. And we're like, no, we should try this, because nobody's on YouTube doing this. We're really good at YouTube, turns out. So we should see if we can generate these leads. And so we did that. And I'll spare some of that story. Anybody who's been on any one of my webinars knows that story now, but by now. But we start generating leads, starts going really well. So we know that there's a thing here. There's a lot of people that want to buy these leads. So we knew we had to turn this into a business. So what Kyle and I did at that point was go, listen, let's go into business together on this. Let's keep it separate from Adleg, because it's a different business model. It's a different everything. We don't want to distract. We know very well to stay in our own lane and keep our business. So we have Adleg. It's doing well. We've got management team. We've got all that kind of stuff. It's doing its thing. Now let's start Adleg. Right. And so, now let's start Leadzolo.
Leadzolo, yeah.
And so that's what we did. So now basically we had 2 companies that we were running. And basically what happened was it just kind of became easier if we're partners in both.
Right.
So Kyle and I worked out an equity deal between the 2 of us, that I basically paid Adleg for a piece of equity in that. So that's how we have both. Okay. So it's kind of a convoluted way and not really good answers to why I have equity in Adleg, other than we were business partners. So we wanted to make sure that we were business partners across the board.
Well, I like how you kind of separated it, right? So you got specialties in each area.
And I think that's important for anybody too. Like this is I've been on the soapbox for so long, but people try to spend way too much time figuring out everything. Right. And I'm guilty for this as well. But like, you don't make money being good at everything. You make money by being great at one thing. Right. And Alex Hormozi's I'm a big fan of. He just came out with a video not too long ago about how to make more money you don't know what to do with. Right. Or how to make so much money you don't know what to do with it. And it was like an hour and a half keynote. And the whole keynote is basically just him saying, stop looking around at all the shiny objects. Right. Focus on one thing and become great at it. Right. And then and that's it. That's all that matters. So that's what we did with Leadzolo and Adleg, was we were trying to get great at both things. Adleg was great at what it was. We just let that spin, made sure we had a great management team. And then that's what we're doing the exact same with Leadzolo. Right. So what we're really, really good at is building and structuring agencies. Yeah. So that's our genius. Yeah. Right. And so then we hire geniuses within those agencies to kind of run those agencies. Right. Obviously we play a part as it grows, but what we're not doing is diversifying. We are really staying in our lanes. Right. And that's what more people need to do. So with Alex Hormozi's whole presentation, like I was saying with the keynote and like stop being distracted, a part of that was he brought up the Inc. 500. And if you look at the people on the Inc. 500, it's like, it doesn't say industry. Oh, I'm in YouTube ads for webinar funnels. Plus I'm in real estate.
17 different things, right?
Yeah. Right. It's never that. It's Sally Smith, roofing, been in it for 75 years.
That's right.
That's how she got to the Inc. 500.
Yeah, they're on their third generation of ownership. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Exactly. 100%. Yeah. And that is the trend. And like, it's not a one-off. It's not anecdotal. I challenge anybody listening to this podcast to go look it up. You go look at it. It is complete success equals success equals time times focus. That's Absolutely. It. The longer you can focus on any one thing, the better you're going to become at it, the more successful you're going to be at it. So when people are talking about different businesses and jumping around, or even within your own business, and try to stay away from talking about too much shop here, but like within your own business, become a great salesperson, right? Don't try and become a great marketer, plus a great salesperson, plus great at dispo, plus great at managing people, plus good being a CFO and a good bookkeeper, plus this. Guess what? You're going to wake up on a Tuesday and go, I don't want to go to work today. Right. Because you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be overwhelmed, and you're spending none of your time in your circle of genius.
I totally agree. What do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third, right? If you're focused and you stay focused, it's like what Steve Jobs said, right? Steve Jobs said, look, the thing I'm the most proud of is all the stuff we said no to.
Absolutely.
Right? It's not Absolutely. Right. And he basically, when he went back in and took over Apple, I love that story, right? Yeah. He got rid of a ton of the stuff they were working on because they were working on stuff that, just too many things. Yeah. Okay. And he brings them in and he refocuses them and he goes, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do these few things. This is it. And we're going to do this exceptionally. Right. And that's exactly what that list says. If you look at Inc. 500, that's exactly what that list says. Yep. Right.
Exactly what it
says. So it's, dude, I totally agree. It's what you focus on and the drive and the passion you bring to it. And it's doing it every day. It's every day, day after day, bringing it.
Carrying water and chopping wood. Yeah. It's the part nobody wants to talk about. Everybody wants the new workout plan, the new diet, the new this, the new that. Well, talk to me on day 70. Yeah. Like that's the difference.
Well, people we were just having this conversation the other day, me and some business owners, right, that are friends of mine. And one of the things that we were talking about was everything is about a hack. Everything's about an easy way out. Everything's about this. Everything's about, and it's like, wait a minute. Okay. The real secret, like they literally were talking to me about back when I was in the mortgage business. Okay. And you don't know about all this, but I got turned down for the first home loan I ever applied for. And the guy wouldn't help me turn a no into a yes. So I got my real estate license, got in the mortgage business. And I have now done tens of thousands of home loans in my career. And none of them got turned down, right? They're all approved, all that. And I did loans that 8 other lenders turned down, and I got them approved, right? So that's a big pride thing with me, okay? But one of the things that we talked about specifically was this is when you're working something and you're working it every single day. I used to be the top producer in my office by 70%, okay? And when I made that decision, when Michael was born and I made that decision about paring back and not going into the office, here's the deal. I spent so much time, probably 4 hours a day with, hey, Mike, you got a minute? Hey, Mike, you got a minute? Here's the thing. They absolutely were convinced, those people were convinced that there was some secret that I knew that nobody else knew. Here's the secret, Drew. Work your ever-loving freaking tail off. That's the secret. Yep. Just like you're saying, the secret is specialize, focus, and go for it. That's it. Pin your ears back, baby. That's the deal, right?
Yeah, and know that the reps start when you don't want to be doing, when you get bored.
Yeah,
like that's when the reps start. People think like, oh, I'm going to be a wholesaler, right? And so then they go buy a course and they watch a course and they go watch some YouTube videos and watch some people doing some one-call closes on Closer Olympics, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this." But now actually go make 3,000 cold calls.
Right. Well,
right?
Here's the thing: the guys
have to do.
The guys that are the champions in the Closer Olympics. Okay. And by the way, I love that part of your webinar too. How many millions of calls have they made? How many millions of objections have they overcome? Right? How many people have they talked to where when they were on stage making those closings, they were closing those people and they were similar to the one they just done 3 months ago or the one they did 6 months ago or whatever. You with me? It's all about, you got to bring it every day. You just got to bring it, and it's who you become, right? It's who you become.
Takes 20 years to become an overnight success.
That's it, right? I spent 31 years becoming an overnight success, right? Yeah. All right. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about? Leadzolo is amazing, by the way. And here's my shameless plug. Everybody who wants to be in wholesaling should be working with you guys, hands down. I'm one of your happiest customers and one of your biggest fans. So there's your commercial. Okay.
Well, I appreciate that.
Right. You're the man, dude. You really are. So is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Anything you're working on? Anything you want to cover?
No, not specifically. Just very excited. I'll throw out a little bit of information from this side of things in hopes to inspire people to specialize and not get distracted with this stuff and get too far into it.
I love it.
I'll tell you a bit of marketing data to say that leave the marketing data up to the marketing specialists.
Right.
But yeah, so we've been doing some analysis lately and finding some really interesting things. So we're really, really excited and really passionate about delivering a good product.
Right.
And I know that can be hard because I know people get leads sometimes that like they couldn't get a hold of somebody, or people just look at lead providers as like, oh yeah, all they're doing is like marking up leads and selling them to us for more than they pay for them. And like, yes, that's true, but there's a lot of things that go into it.
Right.
So for example, we just ran an analysis on a few $1 million worth of sold properties from leads that we provided. And what we were trying to do was find out what are the most valuable segments in here. Now, it goes without saying, obviously, motivation-wise, the highest closing leads that we produce come with a motivation of tired landlord. Not too surprising. Most people kind of know that.
Yeah.
The second most surprising is tenant occupied and not occupied occupancy are massively outweigh owner occupied in terms of conversions.
Right.
Interesting. So what does that mean? Well, if you're running ads yourself, it doesn't really mean anything other than, oh, I want more of those. There's no real way of generating more of those in a general ad campaign.
Right.
Now, luckily for us, we have the opportunity of being able to sell leads nationwide because we have buyers everywhere. So what we're able to do is look at that and go, okay, so how do we get more landlords? Well, it turns out there's about 12 publications that are like magazine publications that are just for landlords and how to be a landlord and whatever that might be. Turns out these publications have hundreds of thousands of purchasers and viewers. So what we're able to do is now go buy spots in these magazines and ads and stuff to bring in more landlords who are in distressed situations looking to sell their properties. So what we're able to do is dramatically increase the quality of our product by knowing which segments, by getting creative in how we're doing our marketing. I'll tell you right now, there's no other wholesaler who's buying up landlord magazines to put in ads to sell their properties.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. That's what we're doing, right? What we can also do is I'm working with Robert from InvestorList right now. We're doing a big analysis for specific counties. What counties have the highest assignment fees? What counties have the highest churn? And then what we're able to do is we can go to local television stations and we can negotiate deals with local television stations because we get to do it on a national level.
Right.
And so what we're able to do is basically place these TV ads in areas where we know the leads are hot. Again, increasing the quality of product that we're selling, but we're able to do it because we're essentially crowdfunding it. All these wholesalers are here and we're able to do this. So we're able to keep looking for other segments such as that. Things that we can learning pretty good, like foreclosure. Obviously, it's a high motivation signal. There's a massively high cash conversion cycle.
Yeah.
So to say that it's actually one of the lower closing, like contract to signed ratio. So I know it's very tempting when you get into this industry to want to look for foreclosures because they're highly motivated people. Right. Guess what? Title issues, 80% of title issues are with pre-foreclosure and foreclosure leads. Thus, you might get a quick dopamine hit when somebody signs a contract, but if you can't do anything with that contract, what good is it? Exactly. So not to say that we're getting away from foreclosures, but we're spending a lot less money targeting foreclosure keywords and a lot more money targeting other types of keywords, like people who have inherited a property, another very high close contract ratio.
Yeah, so there's less hair on those deals, basically, is what you're saying, and it's easier to get them closed. So, do you mind if I throw something out? Sure. So, our very first interview for my young podcast, as you know, we're all of 3 weeks old, but our very first interview was with a good friend of mine who's one of the top economists in the nation, real estate economist. Okay, and his name's Alan Nevin. And if you ever get a chance, in fact, if you were here, I'd give you a copy of it as my gift. I've given out more than 100 of them. It's a book called The Great Divide. The Great Divide, and it was published in 2017. You can get it on Amazon. And in that book, he talks about we're in the midst of the single greatest transfer of wealth in our nation's history. There's some $72 trillion worth of real estate, or pardon me, wealth being transferred from baby boomers to their millennial kids and grandkids. 90% of it is real estate, and the millennials don't want it. They literally don't want it because they have PTSD from when they were kids. The Great Recession hit, and they watched all the people around them that were close to them, that they loved, they watched them lose their houses. Okay. So we're literally, Drew, right now, I've secured my ghostwriter, and we're starting a book on home ownership where we're taking the case directly to millennials on why the American dream needs to be home ownership again. We start writing it officially January of 2024.
Amazing.
Okay? So we're taking the case to them. So the reason why we're seeing more wholesale deals, the reason why we're seeing more investor deals is because for the first time in our history, real estate has become disposable.
Interesting.
Okay. So this is a book that I would highly recommend. By the way, I told you I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. He has a new book coming out called The Next Half Century, and it'll be available in October. I would highly recommend that one too. Right? Alan is a very, very smart guy. Alan Nevin is his name, Nevin. Incredibly smart guy. He also talks about demographics and talks about this area called the Gold Zone, which are the southern states of the U.S. that the U.S. population is actually migrating to. So over the years, and this is according to the federal government, the people are migrating to these states, right, from the northern states. So just something to think about in terms of research. I didn't see it on your shelf behind you, so that's why I'm mentioning it.
No, I just
And
looked it up though. I'll be buying it. That's for
like
sure.
I said, if you were here, I'd be giving you a copy because I actually have an extra copy. But I've given out like 100 of them, right?
Incredible.
And I'm still giving them out to people that I love and I care about. So anyway, just something to think about. But this guy's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and that's literally what's happening right now. That's where the trend is headed. Is that $72 trillion of wealth transfer?
Wow,
it's unbelievable, dude. It's unbelievable.
It is. That's exciting. Wow, it's exciting to be in our seats. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, listen, Drew, I cannot thank you enough for your time. This was awesome. I am so pumped up. I probably won't sleep tonight. You are so motivating and so inspiring, man. I really appreciate you being on. I know our listeners are going to be incredibly moved by you. And thanks for being a dad, man. Thanks for being so passionate about being a father.
Well, thanks, Mike. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. It's totally my pleasure to be here, man.
Thanks so much.
Cool.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.